Welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. Dr. Lopkin, a interesting week without a doubt. The impeachment, case goes to the Senate as we were speaking on Tuesday, I believe Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And that should be interesting. It does play into the campaign, the Democratic campaign. We had Cory Booker just bow out. I'm really perplexed because a couple questions for you, Dr. Lopkin. I see it as a very, very, very minor league, AA set of candidates. And the second question is American Ready for Socialists. Your comments.
Yeah, the Democrats really have put up a minor league roster.
Come on, let's be honest. It's brutal.
They don't seem to have a heavy hitter, which I honestly think is why they brought back Joe Biden, because I think they thought he was going to be their heavy hitter.
Okay, I know I'm biased. I know I'm biased. I would say yes. When he was first introduced or entered the fold, I was like, whoa, Trump better watch out. I won't just use the term lightweight, but not exactly ready for prime time. He's getting increased. I do not know how he holds up to the bright lights.
No, he has made so many gaffes that it's become a running joke. But he is still the great hope for the Democratic Party.
We all have hopes. We all have hopes, don't we, Dr. Lopkin? I mean, let's be honest. How does he hold up in a debate against Trump, who's now experienced? I think I see it as because no one really lays a glove on him in the Democratic debate. I see him being eviscerated. I mean, he can't really hold a coherent thought. When he does go off script, he talks about crazy stuff that if it was you or I, we might be headed for the funny farm, rubbing my leg and Corn Pop was a bad dude. I mean, come on.
I think he's going to have more and more problems as the Democratic candidates whittle themselves down. In tonight's debate, there's still 6 candidates. So they're all going after each other. And Biden is going to be fairly minor in them taking him on. But as it gets down to 2 or 3 candidates, and Biden does still seem to be the front runner. They are going to train their guns on him. And I don't know that he's going to escape unscathed. At this point, I think he's still going to take the nomination, even if the Democratic Party has to do it in a brokered convention. I think they want him to be the candidate because they know that neither Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren stands a chance of winning in the general.
Let's talk about that. Bernie could win. He could win.
I don't think Bernie can win.
No, not win the general, win the nomination.
Oh, he could win. He could win the nomination. He's got the backing to do that. But the party as a whole knows there's no way he's going to be able to beat Trump, because all Trump has to do anytime Bernie starts going off is say, how are you going to pay for that?
Oh, yeah, it's all a pipe dream. It's an academic pipe dream, without a doubt. But, if he wins, he wins. They elected McGovern in 1972. No one thought he was going to win. He didn't win, but he was still the nominee. There's nothing he can do about it. Whatever.
There is a big difference, though, because when McGovern won, the Democrats did not have the superdelegates.
Okay.
The superdelegates.
Wait! You bring up a very interesting point, Dr. Lopkin. Not to interrupt, but it's a great point. If it's another problem for the Democrats, if Sanders gets screwed again with superdelegates, that's going to seriously impact turnout on the Democratic side. That's 2 in a row. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think if they use the superdelegates, it's going to keep Bernie supporters home. But
home, as they were in 2016, yes.
Right. But honestly, Bernie Sanders is the candidate that the superdelegates were created to prevent.
Yes.
After McGovern, after Carter, even, the Democratic Party decided, you know what, we can't risk putting someone like this in the White House again. Now, honestly, there was a lot of talk about them using the superdelegates against Obama, but they were afraid of the backlash because they didn't want to be considered racist.
True.
Against Sanders, they're not going to have any problems using them. And I honestly think they're already trying to jury rig the election because I believe Nancy Pelosi held back the impeachment from the Senate, not because she was trying to get a better deal from the Senate on how it was going to be run. She knew she had no say over that. But once the impeachment trial starts, every senator is required to be there. So now you have the Iowa caucus coming up. Elizabeth Warren is stuck in Washington. Bernie Sanders is stuck in Washington. Joe Biden is hitting Iowa like a storm.
I think that's a theory. I really actually do believe that, and this brings up another subject. We'll just barely touch on it. I believe, and I never agreed with Nancy Pelosi's policies ever. Okay. But I'd always thought she was the master strategist. And even Steve Bannon said that, the master strategist. I think she overplayed her hand. I think she did withhold the charges, the case, because she wanted to hold out for a better deal. Maybe what you're saying is also true, but I think she way overplayed her hand. I think actually, and I know I'm partisan, biased, but I'd like your input on it. I strongly believe, not just because I'm partisan, that holding the charges, not passing them on to the Senate, I think it was already in trouble to begin with. It turned the impeachment whole process into almost a situation of being not even relevant. You talk to the average, it's like out of everyone's even mind. They don't even think it's serious. What do you think?
Well, that's one of the reasons that Pelosi finally decided she was going to turn it over to the Senate without getting anything. Because the longer she held on to it, the more and more people were saying, oh, they're holding on to it because there isn't any real evidence. They didn't do an actual investigation. Now they're hoping the Senate's going to do the investigation for them. The Senate obviously is not going to do that. That was the House's job, but the Democrats in the House were more concerned about getting him impeached before the election than actually following the process and doing a real investigation.
I really believe even the average American knows that it was a sham, and I think holding it up just put further light on it. Switching gears a bit, the Iranian situation. Again, and we have to couple that with the press and their reaction. Trump was a madman, but looks like he unleashed a can of worms that work in our favor. What do you think?
It certainly does seem that way. Whether or not there was an imminent threat, there was more than enough reason to take out this guy.
Oh, no, that goes without saying.
He was the mastermind of so many terrorist attacks.
Without a doubt. I think it also really shed a real negative light to the average person, not the left-wing ideologues of the current Democratic Party, but the average American are saying, whose side are these people on? Some Democratic leaders and policies, and also the press. My God,
the press. A number of the Democratic leaders, a number of Hollywood elite. These people have come out going, "Oh my God, how could we have done this?" Now, between his elimination and Iran shooting down, allegedly by accident, the Boeing airline from the Ukraine, the Iranian people are asking for regime change. They are starting to stand up to the Ayatollah and this ridiculous regime.
Agreed with all of that. You're right on as always. But it's scary because the press hasn't even mentioned it. They would be 24/7 if we, by just chance, shot down that plane or anything else, anything that could have possibly been. They don't even talk about what's going on. I mean, it really is troubling. Again, the press is the press, but it used to be, at least when America was in crisis, they would rally. Look at the Gulf War with CNN. I mean, the first one, the second one was a joke. But yeah, it's rather troubling that we have ideologues on the Democratic side and in the press. I think America is not served. Your final thoughts, Dr. Lopkin, on that?
I know we've said this over and over again. We don't have an impartial press. We have an echo chamber where they're talking to their followers, and they, if it doesn't fit their narrative, they're not going to talk about it.
Which is actually very. Go ahead.
I mean, and that's very troubling. But what frightens me more are the Democrats who are yelling so much that they're more upset that Trump did this without telling them than all of the repercussions and what's actually going on. And the fact of the matter is, over the course of the last 4 years, there have been so many governmental leaks. In Trump's place, I certainly would tell as few people as possible what was going to happen.
No way. As we conclude, why don't you share with everyone we got some really exciting news on Carnivore Bites. Maybe you can kind of go over that.
Yeah, we've got 2 new podcasts coming out. Starting Friday, we're going to be releasing the Carnivore News Brief. This is not analysis, it's just week in review. This is what happened. And coming up in February, we're bringing the Carnivore Radio show online. So it will be a live show. Our listeners can call in. We'll have guests that we're interviewing, and we're really looking forward to that. So the News Brief starts later this week, and Carnivore Radio comes online in February.
Fantastic, Dr. Lopkin. Until Friday, take care.
See you then.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch us every week on carnivoreradio.com, exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast Store, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.